Welcome to Emotional Freedom Now. You know, as I have worked with people over the years, the most common question that I'm asked is, will I ever get over it? Will I ever be able to forget? And my answer is yes and no. Yes, in that it will no longer be in Technicolor with you every moment of the day. It will fade into a kind of a gray, and it will pop up occasionally. You'll be able to access it if you choose to do so, but it won't be with you all of the time. And this is what achieving emotional freedom is all about. It is about giving you the emotional freedom to break the chains of the childhood legacy that carries with you into adulthood that is the result of abuse. That abuse can be physical, it can be sexual, it can be emotional, it can be mental, it can be a combination thereof. There are 2 modules in this program. The first module is about breaking those chains. And we start with a discussion of what constitutes abuse and what constitutes enabling. And during this time, you will record simply for yourself everybody who abused you and how, and everybody who enabled you and how. And at the end of the lesson, you will choose to focus on the abuser whose choice to abuse you still has the greatest impact on your life today, and the enabler who still has the greatest impact on your life today. And if you're not sure who that is, think about the voices that you may hear in the back of your head that tell you you're inadequate, you're not good enough, you're stupid. Whose voice is it? Those are the voices of abusers and enablers. As you move into week 2, you will start to identify your story versus their stories. They've done everything they could to make you responsible for their choices and have tried to commingle their story with your story. That's a false narrative. You are never responsible for somebody else's choices. So in week 2, we focus on beginning to separate their story from your story. In week 3, you focus simply on your story. Your story is what you experienced, how you felt about it at the time, how you feel about it looking back today. It will also include things that were said to you. Not those things per se, because they're a part of somebody else's story, but how you felt about them. Your feelings are a part of your story. In week 4, we'll focus on identifying your abuser's story. And in week 5, your enabler's story. In week 6, having done that, we'll come back and focus on your story. And then in week 7, we'll focus on how you shut down those voices that are the legacy of all the lies that were told to you during all of the time that you were abused. In module 2, we'll focus on creating the life that you want. And we'll work through the process over 5 weeks of looking at how you define success, what it means to you, and how to create your unique definition of success. How to use that as a mindful filter so you know when to say yes and when to say no, and how you use it to build a roadmap that's going to take you from where you are to where you want to go, so that unique definition of success becomes real. Join us on this journey. I promise you that it will change your life. I'm going to share one brief story of a client that did this. She had been abused sexually, physically, emotionally, mentally. You name it, she had experienced it. She had been through 5 years of therapy, and nothing had made a difference. She came to me on a referral, and when she talked, she wasn't sure that this was going to work. 5 years of therapy hadn't worked. Why was a 12-week program going to work? And so as we talked, she began to get excited and see the difference and the potential that this had to make a difference in her life. Her husband was a little bit skeptical about the whole thing. He didn't want to see her disappointed again. He couldn't see a point in spending money on something that probably wasn't going to work because nothing else had worked. But she made the decision that she really wanted to try it. And so he supported her. And so we progressed through week 1 and week 2, week 3 and week 4, week 5, and week 6, when we got on our Zoom call, there were tears running down her face. And she said, in 5 weeks, or in 6 weeks, you have changed my life. At that point, I had tears running down my face. That's why I do what I want to do, why I do what I do. I want to change lives. This is my story. I understand the devastation of childhood abuse. I understand how it goes into adulthood. I lived it at a time there were no programs, no books, no help. I had to find my way. But having done so, I realized I had an obligation to look back and help those who did not yet know it was possible. My passion is to help those who continue to suffer from the legacy of their childhood abuse to heal and to become emotionally free, that in adulthood they may have the freedom to become who they choose to be and live the life they choose to live. If you have been abused, and if you are still feeling that legacy, then it's time for us to get started. I'm as close as your computer. Let's do it now.